Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
Ready to bet smarter? Get sports betting tips straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
I like the Commanders at 3.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
The Wise guys were all over Florida last week, and they're against Florida this week. That's not a common pattern.
I think these teams could score a lot. I would look at the over.
I'm very high on Tampa Bay. I think they can go there and they can win this game.
Subscribe for free to Sports by the Book on YouTube. Your winning edge starts now.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is high stakes and wild cards. This is family and tradition. This is everything on the line. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now. LVMS.com.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles. She's Alex White. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning. I was just wondering how my lines were going to look, my stripes on the shirt, and now I'm seeing on the camera. It's pretty wild. You pulled it off yesterday, though, so I thought I was okay. He's speechless. Welcome back, Jeff.
I have no idea how to respond to that. No clue. Yes, it's nice to be back in studio. Still working through some things, but we're at least here today,
yes,
which is good. I wasn't going to miss Chris Felica, who's joining us in 15 minutes. I can't miss the Bear. We'll get his thoughts as we're a little more than a month and a half into the college football season, and it is wild, to say the very least. Before we get it, we'll have Chris Andrews' power rankings, yours and mine's power rankings. We'll even bring up Felica's top 10 that he puts out on Twitter every Monday in a few moments. But Alex, I want to start with what we saw last night in Jacksonville, where the Kansas City Chiefs are now 0-3 in one-score games here this season. And we talked about it going into the year, that there was going to be regression after that obscene year where they didn't lose a one-score game all year long. They were undefeated. Set the NFL record for most one-score wins in a season without losing. And they're 0-3 in one-score games the first 2 weeks of the season. And now last night, where Trevor Lawrence, with what I will call the baby draft touchdown run last night, where his right guard steps on his foot, he falls on his face. As he said after the game, it was pure panic because the Jags are out of timeouts, but finds a way to score a touchdown from 1 yard out, where he only ran 45 yards on the play, by the way, according to Next Gen Stats. But there's a lot to say about the Chiefs, who I think will end up being fine in the long run, especially now that the AFC West has come back to them. Yeah. Chargers have blown their lead out west and are in a tie with Denver now at the top of that division. But there's a lot to say about Jacksonville, who committed a really bad turnover that led to a Kansas City touchdown on Lawrence. He was still missing a few throws here and there. But in the end, this is a monumental win for Liam Cohen and company. They're 4-1. Indy's 4-1. As we all expected, two of the best teams in the AFC this year are in the AFC South.
Right. And I will just say I was on the wrong side. I did have the Chiefs, but that was a really good Monday Night Football game. And kind of takeaways from both sides. I like what I saw from the Chiefs offense. Continued what they did against the Ravens, so there are some good signs there. Throwing a pick when you're almost in the end zone, again, for Patrick Mahomes, though, pretty uncharacteristic. The Jags capitalized on it, definitely, though. Kind of worrisome at the end there. Really couldn't get a stop. Missed a lot of tackles for the Chiefs defense, but at the end, I think that Spags will turn that around. So I do think they'll be fine. What do you think about the play calling from the Jags? I like the weapons. Strange, we're seeing Brian Thomas, Etienne. I like their offense right now.
Yeah, look, even with, Strange looked good while he was out there. He left the game with an injury at half, just before the half. Etienne looks revitalized. We know Brian Thomas is awesome. Brian Thomas was pretty quiet last night until that unbelievable throw that Lawrence made to him at the end of the game that at least set up the game-winning touchdown. Travis Hunter, they finally got him a deep shot. It was only the second time they've taken a long ball to him. They have some depth, but again, it's funny. Going into the season, I basically said that if either New England or Chicago makes the playoffs, that either Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel will go win NFL Coach of the Year, and it would take something really surprising in order to beat either of those guys. And we've gotten that. Shane Steichen is the rightful favorite at the current moment in Indianapolis, and Liam Cohen, if Jackson, look, Indy and Jacksonville play each other twice in December. Houston seems to be down. Tennessee, even with that ridiculous win on Sunday, is still, to me, even though there is one winless team behind them, Tennessee's still the bottom of the NFL pretty clearly to me, even with that miracle or disaster if you had Arizona and Survivor. Hello, me. This Jacksonville team is real. And I think Indianapolis is real, too. That makes this a very different looking playoff picture, and especially, Alex, with the struggles of Baltimore, who's 1-4, Cincinnati, who's 2-3 and going the wrong direction. There are multiple wildcard slots that are going to be out there that we did not expect going into the regular season here.
My biggest concern was their defense going into the year. I knew Lawrence still had it a little bit, and the coaching just wasn't really working with Doug Peterson, but their defense was not good last year. This year, they're creating turnovers. We'll see if that's sustainable, but as of right now, you're right. There's a lot of wildcard spots still open. I don't know if I'm quite ready to move Jacksonville up too high, but you were on it last week. You did have them right there in 10th, right? In your top 10?
Yeah, I had Jacksonville 8th, actually, last week. And, I told Ann this maybe before you got in. I don't remember if you were here or not yet, but I had a full pie yesterday. I did my power ratings before the game, assuming Kansas City was going to win. I have to redo those. Completely because I was ready to move Jacksonville either to 10 or out and move Indianapolis up. Might have Jacksonville and Indy in the top 5 this week. That's how crazy and topsy-turvy the NFL is right now. All right, Alex, let's go to our power rankings in college football. Of course, our NFL power ratings are back tomorrow, so I still have another 24 hours to figure out what the hell I'm doing with those. But let's start with our good friend Chris Andrews, who always brings the heat with his power ratings. And here's what we have for Chris, who has Alex, we all have the same number 1 going into this week. How about that? Ohio State is Chris Andrews number 1, Oregon at number 2, Bama at number 3 for Chris after their miracle cover against Vanderbilt, Miami at 4, Texas Tech is going to come up in a question to Felica because I said this over the weekend. I think we're at this point. Well, I'll get into it a little bit later, but Texas Tech well on their way to making a college football playoff at this point. Chris's Notre Dame at 6. Pretty lucky cover, you would say, in the end over the weekend. Number dependent against Boise. Indiana at 7 for Chris, and then a run of SEC teams 8 through 10. Ole Miss, Georgia, and LSU. I'm going to be the outlier on Ole Miss. I can already tell you on that. But that's Chris Andrews' top 10 entering the week.
Not a whole lot of movement there for him. If you remember from last week, I know Tech did move up because I remember seeing it last week and saying, Texas Tech made the top 10. Now they're moving up to top 5. They made my top 10 this week as well, and not a lot of movement for me at all. So my first 5 stay the same. I've got Ohio State, Oregon, Alabama. Now here's an interesting part. Miami, Florida, and Alabama are tied for me. So tied for 3rd. I just ranked or just put them number wise here the same. Alabama, Miami, and then Georgia number 5. But Florida definitely, Miami, Florida definitely had to be bumped up rating wise. I think that was a very impressive win over Florida State. Now 6 through 10 for me. A&M moved up from 7 to 6. Notre Dame moved up from 8 to 7. Ole Miss as well. Texas Tech makes it in there and jumps Indiana. Texas Tech at number 9 now, and number 10, Indiana. So Texas fell out of my top 10. They were 6 still last week going into the weekend, even though I did like the Florida Gators in that game, getting the points. Pretty alarming there with another loss for Texas.
Yeah, Texas almost caught a break that Penn State's loss was happening at the same time, because if those happened at different times of the day, everyone's attention would have been solely on Texas. I was guilty of it. I had the quad box on the television on Saturday, and Penn State game had the audio the whole time, even with Bama and Vanderbilt going simultaneously with those two. All right, my top 10. I did a little tinkering here. I'm starting to play a little bit more of resume into this, and look, records matter in the end here, especially in a loaded SEC. So Ohio State's 1, Oregon's 2, Miami's 3. That hasn't changed. I was very close to moving Miami to number 1 over both Oregon and Ohio State. In the end, the Mario Cristobal thing holds me back. I still don't trust him at all. Still don't trust him. And if they had if you flopped him in Lanning, if Lanning was the coach of Miami, Miami would be number 1 without even a hesitation for me. So that's what I have, 1, 2, 3. Remember, I had the Rebels of Ole Miss at number 4 last week. I keep them there. They didn't play this week. I think Ole Miss is really good. I think that's one SEC team I missed on going into the year, because I thought, okay, you know what? If Lane goes 9-3, he did really well with this team. They have the LSU game. I thought they would lose it at home to LSU. I thought they would lose at Georgia, and they would inevitably lose one extra game they shouldn't, like they did a year ago. I was wrong. Trinidad, the flop to Trinidad Chambliss has completely changed everything, because I liked Austin Simmons, but I had my questions with him. But Chambliss is clearly the guy, and they're at number 4. A&M showed me a lot this past weekend, because they got off to a slow start. I was like, oh, here we go again. This is going to be like the Auburn game. They're going to mess around. They're not going to play that well, and they're going to win a close game. They eviscerated at Mississippi State in the second half, like they should have at home. And Marcel Reed's playing at a high level. And more importantly for A&M, since giving up the 41 against Notre Dame, their defense has been dominant. And that is something we should expect from a Mike Elko coach team. Defensive mind, high-end defensive genius. A&M's defense is high-end. As with everyone in the SEC, their schedule is brutal down the stretch here. Bama at 6, Georgia at 7. I give the edge to Bama just because they beat them head-to-head. It's close. They're basically even, but I'll give Bama a slight edge. And also, I owe Ty Simpson an apology. He's the best player in the SEC the last 3 weeks. It's really not close. So he's in Bama at 6, Georgia at 7. So this is where this gets complicated, though. I moved Oklahoma out the last 2 weeks because of the John Mateer injury. There are reports saying that John Mateer might be ready to go in Red River on Saturday. Oklahoma's still an underdog. Who knows how healthy John Mateer can be 2 weeks after throwing hand surgery.
Right.
But I still don't think Michael Hawkins Jr. is any good at all. And that would have been the best path for Texas winning that game. Mateer doesn't play. Hawkins struggles, turns the ball over against a defense that got embarrassed last week, realistically speaking. But I move Oklahoma back to 8. With Mateer, they're clearly a top 10 team. V proves they're healthy and they beat Texas. They're probably going to hop A&M and maybe even hop Ole Miss next week for me. Texas Tech at 9, it's undeniable. Their talent is so much better than everyone else in the league, and they're destroying teams. They're the only team in the country to outgain their opponents by 200 yards in every single game. They're only one of 2 that's outgained their opponents by 100-plus yards in every single game they played. It's undeniable at this point. Texas Tech is at 9 with the ability to go higher. And they might be the 4th team that you might be able to pencil into a college football playoff spot, especially if they can beat Arizona State in Tempe in a few weeks. LSU's at 10. Again, they're probably, I had a hard time with them. Indiana and Missouri were the 3 that I had the hardest time with. Question of Mizzou's strength of schedule. Part of the reason I leaned LSU. They at least have beaten Florida. I know Clemson's down, but they at least went on the road and beat Clemson. Mizzou hasn't played a road game yet. And Indiana, I feel like we're overvaluing that destruction of Illinois, but we're going to learn this week against Oregon. We're going to learn everything we need to know about the Hoosiers on the road at Odson. So we'll see.
I'm excited about that one. I really am. The one thing with Indiana that I will push back a little bit is we saw that destruction over Illinois, and then they turned around and they beat Iowa in an Iowa game. So that showed a lot to me for that Hoosiers team. But yeah, SEC is going to be very interesting. There's a lot of top, really good teams here, and now they all have to face each other.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody's schedule is brutal, except for Ole Miss, which is also part of the reason that I think Ole Miss has a nice little line to Atlanta. And I believe that would be the first time ever for Ole Miss in Atlanta. Yeah, it would be the first time ever in the SEC championship game if they were to get there. Mississippi State's been there. Arkansas has been there. A lot of random. Missouri's been there twice. A lot of random ones through the years in Atlanta. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, our friend Chris Felica, the Bear Bets podcast, Fox Sports. You see him on Big Noon Saturday as well. He'll join us next. We got plenty to talk about with the Bear here on Sports by the Book.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though this total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team that the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Alex White's alongside me. I'm Jeff Parles. Happy to be with you. Happy to be back in the studio again as well. Now joining us, our good friend Chris Felica joins us right now. Bear Bets podcast, Fox Sports. You see him with our friends Portnoy and Big Cat. Even though, what was up with Big Cat faking the injury on Saturday?
That was absolutely 100% a hospital in a hospital room in bed. What do you mean faking an injury?
Hey,
that was a very, very severe injury that he had.
You know, I will say he finally won the 50-50, so I'll give him a pass. So you know what? I'll give him that. Bear. Oh, actually, hold on a second, Bear. I have to do this because this just came across my wires. NFL news that may come as a surprise to some. We have a trade. The Cleveland Browns have traded Joe Flacco to the Cincinnati Bengals. All Ohio trade. There we go, Bear.
That'll solve everyone's issue. I mean, do people realize Joe Flacco sucks?
Hey, hold on a second.
He's done.
Bear, this does give us one really good betting opportunity. The Bengals play the Jets in 3 weeks. There are now not enough points that I will be not willing to lay with the Bengals in that game with Flacco playing against the Jets. That's all I'll tell you.
That's not a bad strategy right there, for sure. But by the way, Shedeur now is an injury away from assuming the presidency.
There we go. Yep, exactly. Yeah, jeez, craziness to say the very least.
I can't wait to tune into the debate shows tomorrow morning, where they'll be talking about, not even tomorrow morning, probably right now they're talking, when will Shedeur become the Browns starter?
Oh, you know it. I'll lay minus 780 on that, Chris, to say the very least. I don't know why I picked that random number there, but we'll go with that. All right, Bear. you put out your power rankings, your top 10 every single Monday on Twitter. Let's roll through that real quick, because I have just what team in your top 10 have you been getting the most pushback on heading into the week? Even though, in all honesty, this top 10 looks pretty darn good to me.
Probably I would say maybe not having Texas Tech as high as some. I've gotten a lot of pushback on Texas Tech from the Texas Tech people and those who think I'm a little low on Texas Tech and think they should be ahead of Georgia, should be ahead of Oklahoma, maybe even be ahead of Indiana. I think that's probably the team, but I don't think I have any team here ranked that people are totally saying, how are they ranked at all? I think it's a pretty cut and dry top 10. Who else would you be looking maybe to include there? Tennessee, LSU, I don't know. Who would 11 be?
Well, so I had LSU at 10. As I was talking to Alex before he hopped on, and I know Indiana had the domination against Illinois and then flipped around and, as Alex said, beat Iowa in that Iowa style game. I still have my questions on them. Maybe I'm biased, but my alma mater, Missouri's 5-0 with only being the second team to outgain their opponents by 100+ yards in every single game. Texas Tech is the other one. But it is kind of interesting. It all feels Bear. This is the good thing about this being wide open, right? I think you go 1 through 13 now, and you got a case for everyone being, hey, Pat is right. They could all get a bye in the college football playoff at this point.
Yeah, you do. I do think the three teams at the top, Ohio State, Miami, and Oregon, have kind of separated themselves right now. And it was funny. I was actually talking with Chrissy last week about a potential prop. Would you hang Miami, Ohio State, and Oregon versus the field, and what would you make it? So curious to see if he does wind up hanging that or not, and what he winds up posting. But you brought up Indiana rather, and that's what I'm waiting to see this week as well. I have been lower on Indiana than most people over the last year and a half. And this is kind of a prove-it game. Like Alex said it perfectly. Like they went to Iowa and won an Iowa game, which is a perfect description of that game. But you go back to last year, the game at Ohio State, the game at Oregon on the road, those two games against top 5 teams, they were non-competitive. I mean, they couldn't move the ball, couldn't sustain any drive, couldn't score. They were blowouts. So, now you're going on the road again to Oregon, top 3 team in the country. Can they go on the road and compete and maybe even pull an upset? I think what Indiana does this week is really going to go a long way in creating their perception as to whether or not they certainly are a college football team this year, because I think a lot of people out there are kind of wondering the same thing.
Chris, I noticed you don't have any 2-loss teams in your top 10, which is fine. It's more of a resume, right? And what we've seen from them. Just curious where you are with Notre Dame, even though we did see them face 2 losses, but we've seen them really turn it around.
I think if you're strictly power rating teams, as opposed to kind of using a mix of resume and record and power ratings, you're going to have Notre Dame's going to be in your top 15 if you're strictly power rating teams. Look, you lost in the final couple of minutes at Miami, who may be the best team in the country. You lost at home on the final play when the officials completely didn't throw a flag on a holding call. It's clear that they have gotten better the last couple of weeks. Granted, it was against a terrible Arkansas team, which fired their coach and a group of 5 team, but Love looks healthy now. Carr is getting more and more experience under. This is a team that's going to win. They're going to win out. They're going to be in the playoff, and they're going to be a problem because at that point in the year, all the questions they had and the replacements on the offensive line and the inexperience of Carr will be gone. They're going to be in the playoff as like that 10 seed or whatever, and they're going to create a problem in the first round and maybe even the second round of the playoff, or if they get out of the first round. But they're a team that I think right now they're still maybe right around even money or maybe even a slight plus to make the playoff, and that's a bet I'd more than be happy to make.
Their schedule is really easy. That is the one good thing they have going for them. If they beat USC in 2 weeks, I don't see they're going 10-2. You're right. I think to be the 10 or the 11 seed, Bear, and it will be a very fun time for whichever SEC draws Notre Dame in round one, which it would likely be the case in that. All right, I want to go to the Heisman race. This has been absolutely insane through the first 6+ weeks. Hey, we actually had the same favorite retain their spot at the top for once, week to week. Dante Moore retains his top slot at most books. And then there's Beck, and then Ty Simpson, who's just been on fire the last month, comes in at number 3. Bear, I have no idea what to do with this at this point. What would you do here? I mean, Haynes King down at 40-1 if Georgia Tech can somehow go 12-0 and 11-1 in the regular season. Marcel, I mean, I don't even know what to do at this point with these numbers.
I hate saying this on a betting show, but I don't know if there is a bet to make.
Oh,
I think the bets to make were a couple of weeks back, and I said this on Bear Bets leading up to the Penn State Oregon game. Like, the time to bet Oregon and Dante Moore and all the Oregon related futures was now, because if they went to Penn State and won, all those prices are going to be gone. Miami, good chance that they're going to wind up finishing 12-0. Like, I think ultimately, push comes to shove, it's going to be either Dante Moore or Carson Beck, whichever of these two teams winds up either going 12-0 and or winning their conference championship game. And I know there'll probably be some people that say Carson Beck, Ruben Bain should be the guy on Miami to win, but quarterback on Miami, if they get to win the ACC and they're 13-0, that guy's going to win the Heisman Trophy. Whether you think he's the best player in the country or not, that's the kind of the beauty of the award, the definition of the most outstanding player in the country. But I guess Ty Simpson would be the guy that if Alabama were to go through the SEC, he would have a chance as well. But I honestly think with the way the schedule is shaking out for Oregon and Miami, there's a really good chance they win out. And if that's the case, one of those two guys is going to be lifting that trophy the second Saturday of December in New York.
I tend to agree with you, Bear. Tend to agree with you at this point. Wish I had taken a little more Beck probably about 3 weeks ago when his number popped back up. All right, now to the not so good portion of the program. Texas and Penn State. Yikes, to put it politely. Last week, Bear, does either team have a chance to still sneak in the back door to the playoff? And if one of these two were to make it, who would it be? Do you think?
I don't think either does. I think Penn State is. I mean, how can you expect Penn State to go to Columbus and win now? I mean, there's against that's not going to happen. They might even lose at home to Indiana, depending on what we see from the Hoosiers this weekend at Alds. So I don't think Penn State is there. And I thought they were like the biggest lock to make the playoff that you could have coming into the season, but apparently that's not the case. Texas is just baffling. I was potentially an under team on them before the year at 9-3. I thought maybe a good strategy would just be to kind of like blind bet all these SEC teams like under 9.5. Arch struggling, kind of not surprising, a little unexpected, but I'm not shocked by it. How poor their defense was last week against Florida is what alarmed me. That was a Florida team that couldn't get a first down for a large portion of the game against Miami. They couldn't stop turning the ball over against LSU, and they had close to 500 yards on that Texas defense last week. So that's what concerns me. I know OU is going to be a very popular dog this week, even with these reports. I don't think Mateer's going to play. Personally, everything that I had heard leading up to this week, it was they expect to have him back for South Carolina, and I think that's probably a good strategy. Make sure he's fully healthy when you bring him back. But I can't see Texas winning this week, going to Athens and winning, beating A&M. Like they're going to pick up a loss one of those games, because not only is it good when you're getting bad quarterback play, bad offensive line play, you don't have any like healthy, productive running backs, and you don't have any good, productive, game-breaking wide receivers. Is that a good combo on offense?
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? I mean, that's pretty much what it is, right? I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, it just, I'm with you. Texas, like Look, that was just a Franklin special on Saturday.
Inexcusable.
I mean, Nico Maliava looked like the Heisman winner. I mean, he was unbelievable. By the way, shout out Jerry Neuheisel, who was awesome with the play calling on Saturday, but still inexcusable.
Yeah, and that killed me too, man, because I know people have their differing opinions on how much you want to lay on a thing, but I went out last week and was talking about, like, how is UCLA's win total 1.5? How are they winning 2 games? And I laid 280 on under 1.5. And now I'm going to be in a position where I'm going to have to pick a couple weeks here to play UCLA on the money line to try and get off some of that wager. Because just like bad losses happen. But to lose as a 24.5 point favorite against a team that hadn't led at any point in any game this season, knowing that, okay, we get bounced back, we get a win here, and we win every other game except for Ohio State, we're going to be back in the play. Just a clear lack of preparation, lack of getting this team ready, and I think a pretty clear indicator that Oregon kind of ripped their heart out on the whiteout.
Chris, just going back to that Oklahoma and Texas game quickly, because the books are kind of all over the place. The best number right now in Oklahoma is here at the South Point, catching 2.5. But I'm seeing pick at Westgate, 1 for Texas, laying 1 at Circa. So kind of moving. Well, I guess we'll find out. But would you like the points here with Oklahoma, even if it isn't Mateer?
I'll probably, you know from following my picks in the Friday Football Invitational that I love a contrarian. I love a stinky side. I love a team that nobody wants to bet on. Like, I'm going to wait and see this move and then see if I can maybe get Texas either at a pick or Texas +1. Because, like I said, I think all of this is now reacting to the kind of non-news that's out there about, it's possible that John Mateer might play. He it's not impossible. He could. He might. I don't think he's going to. So I would be, if I'm betting this game, I would be waiting to see what I would think is the best possible entry point for Texas and get in and play the Longhorns there.
Which he's
despite everything bad that I just said about them.
Which he's killing it in Circa Invitational, so we should take his advice.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Bear, another SEC game that it has some major implications at my alma mater's neck of the woods. Missouri hosts Alabama. I'll be honest with you. I am floored this number is this short. It is 3 here at the South Point and pretty much market wide on this game with the Tide laying it in Como. Total 51.5. Bear, I was thinking for weeks, I'm going to probably get I could get 6 with Missouri. No, not so fast. It's 3. I kind of want to pass this game now because of how short it is, but I think Mizzou is very much live to win this game after Bama really had to work hard to beat Vanderbilt last week.
I think they are too, and there were 5.5s and 6s available in the look ahead.
Yeah.
I know there was definitely a 5.5 on FanDuel prior to last week, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll luck out and get a 6, and I did not hop in, and I really wish that I would have, now seeing it down to 3. But I'm with you. You have an Alabama team the last couple of weeks. The physical game against Georgia, who, by the way, ran the ball up and down the field on them. Vanderbilt, who had success running the ball on Alabama for portions of that game. And now you got to go on the road, a tough place to get to, a dual threat quarterback in Prabula, which can give them problems. Hardy running the ball. This would absolutely be Missouri or pass for me. But again, just the handicapper in me is saying, God, if I didn't take 5.5 and was hoping for a 6 on last Saturday or Sunday on the look ahead, why am I going to take +3 now? So, but it would still be Missouri or pass. This is why we were having a conversation as well. How many and I know Alabama may be a lock. Maybe they ultimately are the best team in the SEC. Maybe they'll get in. But you look at these schedules in the SEC, how many teams out there are locks per se for the college football playoff? I think we all think Miami, Ohio State, and Oregon are in. Be very hard for them to pick up, I think, 3 losses to knock them out. Texas Tech, I still think, has to win the Big 12 to get in. And I don't know if I'd put any of these SEC teams in just because of the gauntlet that they have to end the season.
I think Ole Miss might be looking the best right now, right? Because they do have the 3 conference wins, make it to the conference championship game, and then could still get in even losing that game. I don't know. It's tough. It's going to be a lot of fun down the stretch here with the SEC. We were talking about it before you hopped on. I'm going to go to another SEC game here that I'm very curious your thoughts. Florida gets the big win over Texas. A&M has looked very good, especially since that shootout they had with Notre Dame. Defense has looked a lot better. Laying 7.5. Are we fading Florida coming off of that big Texas win, or is this a stay away for you?
It's a stay away. It's why we were talking yesterday on Bear Bets about this game, and we always like to give a line that we're looking to see which way it might go. And this was my game right here. When we recorded yesterday, it was A&M minus 8.5, and now I see that it was funny. I said it feels a little high, but I'm curious to see. It's in no man's land. Does it go to 9.5 off of people thinking Florida might have a little bit of a letdown coming off that big win going on the road, or is there going to be the narrative and the respect now for Florida with the way Balls run the football, with how good Lagway looked last week, and the whole, is Billy Napier actually going to do it again and rally this team? This is a really good Florida defense. They were in the backfield all game last weekend. But they made it difficult on Miami at times. McClain is so much better in the secondary than what he once was a couple of years ago. It's a big game for A&M because, after this, you don't have another home game until, November 15th. So they need to get a win here, bank those home wins, bank those conference wins before they head on the road. Right now, I would say this is a no play for me, but I do think if I were going to play Florida, I probably would have played it at 8.5, knowing that if a 9 popped, live and let die. But the fact that it's come down now to 7.5 makes me think that Florida is going to be a kind of a trendy public dog here.
I might have to wait it out then because I am leaning to the other side. I did make this closer to 10 with A&M at home. So if I can get under a touchdown, might be a good play for me. Let's go to another team that needs an SEC win in Auburn. Coming off a bye week, now they are hosting Georgia. Been a few tough couple weeks for Georgia, right? The Bama lost, and then they really put it on Kentucky. What are we thinking in this one? Is 3.5 enough for Hugh Freeze's team at home?
I laid 3.5 on the look ahead last week, thinking that this number would climb, expecting Georgia to take care of Kentucky. I was thinking this might go to 4.5, maybe even a little more no man's land to 5, but it hasn't. It's interesting because I had the same reaction last week with Miami, Florida State when I laid 4.5 on the look ahead with Miami, thinking if Florida State lost to Virginia, this game might move towards 5.5, 6, and I might be able to get a little bit of something back if I wanted to. That didn't happen, and Miami was the right side and covered, which was great. Am I going to get lucky in that regard twice? That I kind of look ahead number wasn't any better than the game line. I don't know. I like Georgia here. I think Auburn's offense is terrible. I don't know if it's the whole how they're calling plays, if that's the problem. Jackson Arnold just he refuses to get rid of the ball. He's taking sacks left and right. Now, I know Georgia has not necessarily created a lot of pressure on the quarterback, but they have done pretty well containing other teams' running games. And if Auburn can't run and it's up to Jackson Arnold to beat them, I don't know if he's good enough to do it. And it's really amazing to me because this was an all-world recruit who was supposed to be the second coming. And I was thinking, oh, wow, there's no way everybody could have gotten this wrong. I'll just write the Oklahoma situation off as a debacle. Everything was bad there last year, and he'll go to Auburn and be great with Singleton and that wide receiving core, and it just hasn't happened. So I think Georgia's the right side here. Slight road favorite, a little north of a field goal. So I'd still lay the 3.5 here with the Bulldogs.
Let's go to the Illabuck. Bear, it's nice to bring that ridiculous looking trophy back. Again, this is where you guys will be this week, right?
Yep.
You guys will be in Champaign for the Buckeyes and the Illini. And look, I got to give Illinois credit because getting blasted like they did in Bloomington really could have spiraled into a total disaster. They win that game against USC that you guys were there for. They go to Purdue. They handle their business. They cover the number. Purdue was a pretty sharp side last week that ends up getting beat.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. Yep. Buckeyes are laying 14.5 here. Sayin looks a lot more comfortable as this season's gone along. That defense is a monster. Any thoughts here before you guys get down there on Saturday?
I'd be looking at laying the points here. I don't think it's going to hit 14 or go under. I think it's probably going to stay north of that. I think the second it does hit 14, you'll get some pretty good buyback there. Illinois is a team that I guess you could say I've had a hate relationship maybe with this year, even though I was on Indiana against them, but had Duke. Illinois was probably, I mean, they're fortunate to win that game by the margin that they did. They've been living off of turnovers all year. If you look at Power 4 teams, they have the biggest, highest number of points off turnover differential at plus 42, which is the most in the Power 5. Opponents have lost 8 fumbles, which is the most in the Power 5. They have scored 52 points off of turnovers, which is tied for first amongst Power 4 teams, and they're plus 7, which is second amongst Power 4 teams. So they have been a turnover machine. They have that voodoo doll out, and as long as Ohio State doesn't do that, you might see kind of a Washington-esque game plan at the start, where on the road they kind of just go about their things, get their running backs involved, and then kind of pull away late, because that defense is just so good right now. I've had some people that kind of bring up the point that they really haven't played anybody on offense. And now with Altmaier and those receivers, it could be a little bit more of a test than maybe I am thinking it's going to be. But I think the way with that front and that secondary, I think it's going to be really hard for Illinois to score points. So I'd be laying the points here at 14.5. Not one of the plays I feel like great about right now. I have not made the bet. I'm going to kind of figure things out as the week goes on. But I'd have a hard time back in Illinois here, just knowing how fortunate they've been on turnovers, and that's probably not something that Ohio State is going to do this week.
All right, Bear, one last one before we let you go. Let's go to Odson. Indiana, Oregon, as you mentioned, Indiana last year, the 2 road tests at Ohio State and at Notre Dame in the playoff. They failed. Now they get their biggest road test of the year against the Ducks, who are coming off a week off, no less, as well. Both of these teams coming off a week off. 7.5 with Oregon in this one.
And I think that number's come down as well. I like Oregon in this game. I think the Ducks will win by double digits. It's still I think this is still an Oregon team that I think people now are going to be questioning again. Oh, Penn State, they stink now. The Oregon going to Penn State, that win is cheap. And maybe that's the case. Maybe I'm wrong in my opinion. But the key about Miami, Oregon, Ohio State is how good they are up front on both sides of the ball. The Oregon defensive line is great. They got guys who can run the ball. I think maybe you'll see a little bit more quarterback run as well this week from Moore. Again, this is a play against Indiana as well. I have serious questions about them going on the road just based on the evidence that we've seen last year. Now, different team, Mendoza at quarterback now than they had last year with Rourke. We'll see, but now at 7.5 now, I'd be jumping in on the Ducks.
I'm with you, Bear. I made this 10, and I like the over. I have to dive into that a little bit more, see if we're going to get points from both sides, because this is going to be a tough defense for Indiana. But lean into the over.
Question for both of you. Have you seen anywhere odds on solely to like make a conference championship game? Like I'd be really curious, like what prices are out there on Duke to make the ACC championship game, because they get Virginia at home, they get Georgia Tech at home. Virginia's already got the loss at NC State where they had the interception in the end zone. Like I know everybody's ready to like just put Georgia Tech in there against Miami, but Manny Diaz's team is playing really well. That was a sneaky good win for them at Berkeley on Saturday night with the way they came out in the second half and just dominated that game. So if you can find maybe an odd price on a team just to reach the ACC championship game, be curious to see what Duke's price is.
You ask, you shall receive, Bear. DK, I don't think you're going to like the price. It's only plus 270.
That's a short.
Yeah, they're on to you on that one.
Yeah. You're going to get a hell of a lot. You're going to get a hell of a lot better on a Duke game by game money line brawl parlay. Clemson, Virginia, and Georgia Tech then plus 270. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. That Georgia Tech game coming up a week from Saturday. A big one for Georgia Tech, because that's really the last test for Georgia Tech. If they win in Durham, they're probably going to the ACC title game.
Yeah.
It very well may be 11-0 into that game in Georgia. That is, Bear, They moved the game. Why did they move that? I know why they moved the game, but the fact
you know why they did.
But in all years to move that game from Dodd to Mercedes-Benz, I mean, that's just so bad. Of all years for Georgia Tech, no less too.
And there are a lot of Georgia Tech fans and alums that are kind of pissed off about it, but the almighty dollar speaks here, and you're now going to be in a home game with 70% of the crowd at least being Georgia fans.
Yeah,
so
horrible.
Could be a massive game for Georgia in their college football playoff hopes too, because they might be sitting on 2 losses at that point in the year and really need the win like they did last year when they escaped and won in overtime.
Yeah, it could very easily be 9-2 Georgia against 11-0 Georgia Tech. It's very possible. Boy, that could be a fun one to say the very least. He's Chris Felica, Bear Bets Podcast, Fox Sports. You'll see him on Big Noon Saturday. This week they're in Champaign for the showdown between Ohio State and Illinois. Bear, it's a pleasure. Thanks for hanging with us this morning.
Of course, Alex, Jeff, thank you very much. Again, always fun.
Absolutely. Chris Felica, everybody. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we have baseball to get to. Yankees look to avoid being swept. Big game in Detroit, 2-1 series lead for whoever wins it. And apparently the National Hockey League season starts tonight.
That's right.
So we'll look at the 3 games in the future book for the NHL when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
Ready to bet smarter? Get sports betting tips straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
I like the Commanders at 3.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
The wise guys were all over Florida last week, and they're against Florida this week. That's not a common pattern.
I think these teams could score a lot. I would look at the over.
I'm very high on Tampa Bay. I think they can go there and they can win this game.
Subscribe for free to Sports by the Book on YouTube. Your winning edge starts now.
We're back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Big thanks to our guy, Chris Felica, for joining us here on a Tuesday morning. Tomorrow, Bruce Marshall will join us, as he always does on Wednesday mornings, maybe a little bit earlier than usual, but we'll have our friend Bruce in studio to get his plays for college football this week. A lot of college football here early and often here on the show this week.
You know, it's a great mixture, though, because we did a lot of the big schools today, and then Bruce always comes in and gives us a lot of smaller conference.
Well, if UTEP's playing
games
this week, we'll probably have a UTEP game again, right? That's how it's been.
Very good.
Yeah, they're playing Liberty. Tomorrow, even. Oh, we got Wednesday night football this week, Alex White. There you go.
Yes, we do.
Oh. All right, let's go to some baseball. Let's start in Seattle, or excuse me, in Detroit, I should say, where Mariners and Tigers split the first 2 games in Seattle. As we all expected, the Tigers won game 1 and lost to Scooble start.
Correct.
Because, of course. Game 3 here this afternoon, starting in about 3 hours from now. Jack Flaherty, who gets a home start. We've talked about it. Flaherty significantly better at Comerica Park than away from it this year. Against Logan Gilbert. It's just been interesting how Seattle has arranged their starters in this series where Gilbert goes in game 3 on the road. And he's a road favorite here. And Alex, I'm a little bit perplexed by the way this game is priced. I know the road teams had the better off in this series so far. The road team is 6-8 in the 8 games. These 6 out of 8, 6-2 in the 8 games that these two teams have played against each other this year. But you're giving me Flaherty at home and plus 115. These teams are pretty darn even. I think wrong now. Make it plus 120 here at the South Point. I think the wrong team's favorite here, Alex. I would only take the Tigers in this one. And a total of 8 seems about right to me. I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah, maybe if it was 7.5, which was the opener, I'd be okay going over that number as well. But I'm with you. I would only be betting on the Tigers here at plus 120. I think Flaherty is better than what people think. And I think when he's locked in, and I said it against Cleveland, and he got it done. I mean, he only went 4 2/3, but still just 2 walks, 1 earned run, 3 hits. So I think he can do it again here. Now, the only concern is the home runs that he can give up. So hopefully it's a solo shot, if anything, to the Mariners, who are definitely capable of putting some runs on, and that long ball. So that's my only concern, but I'm with you. I think that looking at Gilbert's numbers on the road, I mean, since July, 4.34 ERA and a 1.26 whip, so significantly worse on the road. And maybe it was a mistake with how they're using their pitching staff, but I like the Tigers here to get game 3.
Yeah, it would only be Detroit. It would only be Detroit in this one, plus 120 on Flaherty. Try to take the 2-1 series lead. And again, the Mariners kind of in a position where you need to find a way to win both of these road games because you're really going to beat Scooble twice.
Agreed.
In the same series. And it was really Jorge Polanco and only Jorge Polanco with his 2 solo homers against Scooble on Saturday or Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
And look, Julio Rodriguez.
Second baseman, right? Not
He was
shortstop?
DHing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I did see a tweet that Scooble didn't give up a home run to any middle infielder. I don't know second or shortstop, but
He was DHing,
year.
so he still hasn't given up a homer to any middle infielder this year. When Polanco plays second baseman, usually played some short in the past. Not a particularly good fielder. That's why he's DHing at this point. All right, let's go to the other series. Boy, what a dream for the Blue Jays through the first 2 games. They just hammer the Yankees like they did in that series that kind of changed the tone of the season back in June in the first 2 games of the series. Toronto's got a 2-0 lead, but this is going to be a little bit more difficult here. Now, decided pitching advantages for the Yankees tonight and in a prospective game 4 as well with Schlitter on the bump tomorrow. It'll be Carlos Rodon on the mound to try to save the season. Yeah, I know it's Shane Bieber on the other side, but Rodon has been better than Bieber, at least down the stretch. With that said, I think this price is a little too steep for my blood here. Minus 155 on the Yankees, plus 140 on Bieber on the other side, a total of 8. I think this price is a little too steep. It would only be a bet on Toronto, but I'm going to stay off of it because Alex, I do think this series is going to go back north of the border. I think the Yankees are going to win both home games, and Toronto's going to have to win a game 5 against Max Fried later this week on Friday. But I do lean to the Yankees. Just wish the price was like minus 140, not minus 155 here.
I like where your head's at then. It might be better to make a small bet on the Yankees to win the series, right?
4-1 right now.
See what you want to do if they can get to a game 5. 4-1. Yeah, I think that might be the better way to play. The small sample size from Shane Bieber since he's been back from the IR. Really just 7 starts, I believe 40 innings pitched for him, 3.57 ERA, 1.02 whip. So I like Carlos Rodon a lot. I liked him against the Red Sox in the playoff game. I think he can do it again here. I'm a little worried and with Toronto's bats. If I was not expecting them to get to Max Fried the way that they did, and now you got another lefty going here in Carlos Rodon. But I do agree with the price, minus 155, backs against the wall. And I think it's the right side, and I think you got the pitching advantage. So I do like the Yankees. I do think that the price is okay, but I like that 4-1. I might put a little bit on that as well.
I wonder what a rollover game to game would be on that pricing, and then it allows you to figure out what you want to do if you get to.
True.
Yeah, I guess I kind of like your theory better. Take a little bit of 4-1, and then if they get it back to a game 5, figure out what you want to do. It'll be interesting to see how the Blue Jays manage their rotation the rest of the way. I mean, the Savage was just so ridiculously good on Sunday in his 5 1/3, striking out 11. I don't know. It's tough go. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what to do here, even though I do expect it to get back to a game 5.
How we have covered this baseball season, bet it day to day this entire summer. Are you a little shocked that we have 3 series with a 2-0 lead?
I am, because I did not expect. I picked the Dodgers to win that series, but I didn't expect the Dodgers to sweep, which is likely what's going to happen now in that other series. Brewers, I'm not overly surprised they took both home games. A little bit fortunate, but they're relentless. And it was the power that did it yesterday that put that game on ice. I'm a little bit surprised the Yankees lost both games in Toronto. I thought they'd lose game 1 and then Fried would win game 2, and that didn't happen. And then once Detroit takes game 1, it's like, oh, they're going to be up 2-0 because they're going to win the Super Bowl game. And
right.
That's the one series that it is. I'll just say a Brewer-Dodger NLCS, which is what we're very likely to see. Cubs are plus 550 to win the series. Drew, can you throw up the Dodger price real quick for the series against the Phillies? Yeah, I mean, it's 8-1 on the Phillies. Like, we're talking huge long-range numbers at this point, and I think properly so. I am fascinated to see how a Dodger-Brewer series gets priced. With Milwaukee seemingly finding what they had in the regular season again in the postseason with home field against the number 1 power rated team that was not really the number 1 team all year, that is finally playing liking it. By the way, I don't know what Dave Roberts was doing last night. Completely made that 9th inning significantly more difficult than it needed to be. Just go to, if Suzuki's available, just go to him at the beginning of the inning, please. Like, we talked about this. Like, he is so dominant out of the bullpen in short range. Just, I don't care that he's facing the same guys back to back. Go to him.
Yeah.
Make them beat him a second time. Don't mess around with Trinan, who stinks at this point, and then make Vesia get 3 batters, and then got pretty lucky in the end that Edmonds' throw was scooped out by Freeman since it was spiked. But regardless there, Dodgers up 2-0, Brewers up 2-0. All right, Alex, hockey. Look, this is more informational for not only just you, the viewer out there, but for us, the people that were like, oh, hockey starts today, when we went through the rundown yesterday.
Oh, no, I'm ready for hockey.
So three I'll speak for myself on that one then. So 3 games here today. We start with the 2-time defending Cup champs. Florida is a huge favorite. By the way, against old friend Spencer Knight, who's in net for Chicago here tonight. Minus 280 here at the South Point on the Panthers, plus 240 on the Hawks, plus 5.5. Don't worry, after we go through these games, we'll give you an update on the futures book as well here at the South Point.
I actually really like that now that you just said that. I was already thinking that number was too big here for game 1. Kind of the win the Stanley Cup hangover going into game 1, Chicago young and hungry, and then Spencer Knight, kind of a revenge. But you do have Bobrovsky on the other side, which always makes me nervous. Plus 1.5, minus 110. I think that's the way I'd go here with Chicago. But I do think Chicago is going to be better, and we saw bits and pieces of it last year. So I think this could be a good start here in the first game.
Florida, again, two-time Cup champions. Really the biggest thing going in. Of course, Matthew Tkachuk is not healthy going into the year, as really just a theme at this point with him. But really the biggest thing is that Barkov, of course, suffered that ACL tear in training camp, and he's likely done for the season. So that is a pretty significant blow for Florida, even before the season starts, losing their captain right before anything even happened.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely one of the deeper teams.
Oh, sure.
But that definitely is always going to hurt.
Yeah. Tough. Let's go to Madison Square Garden next. The Rangers and the Penguins. Mike Sullivan, now, of course, the longtime Penguin coach, now the head coach of the New York Rangers. So he takes over as well. It is so rare to see the Penguins. And again, they had a dreadful season a year ago, and doesn't look like it's going to be that much better this year.
I'd have to agree.
Minus 220 on the Rangers, plus 190. Opening night, plus 190 dog on Pittsburgh just feels bizarre, even though it very well is right at this point. And a total of 6 here on this one, Alex.
Backup goalie for them, though, going tonight, confirmed, actually, for the Penguins, that is. So that could be added into that price. Shesterkin on the other side for the Rangers. So, yeah, I think that one's correct. Watch, I'm going to be on the wrong dog today. But I'm intrigued with the Rangers, see if they can get back to a good spot.
Arthur Seelovs, who we saw in Vancouver in the past, will be getting the start for Pittsburgh here tonight against the Blue Shirts there at Madison Square Garden. All right, last one on the board tonight. We go cross country, 3,000 miles from Madison Square Garden to Crypto.com Arena for the LA Kings and the Colorado Avalanche. Avs small road favorite here, minus 115. And a total of 5.5 in this one, Alex White.
I know there are some expectations for the Kings, but I think that's a cheap price on the Avs here. And I know it's Scott Wedgwood, not Mackenzie Blackwood, but he's been playing in the preseason, and I think he's close to as good as their starting goalie here. I think they have a 1A, 1B. So I like the Avs at minus 115. I think that's a very good price.
Let's look at the futures board here. So we're all acclimated to what we're going in to this season. It really feels like a lot of people are saying that this is finally going to be the year that the Edmonton Oilers bust through and win the Stanley Cup. But another offseason goes by. By the way, McDavid signed like the cheapest extension of all time for for the best player in the NHL. It's just laughable.
2 years, so short term.
Short term, but Alex, like, how can the Oilers go into the season again with Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard as their two goalies? Like, how is that possible? That we've all watched these last 2 years in the postseason and the previous years in the postseason, even before these last 2 years. Like, it was Mike Smith before it was Stuart Skinner that held them back, and now, like, really, we're doing this again. Even with that, they're the betting favorites here at the South Point at 6-1 to win it all. Colorado at 7-1. Vegas, by the way, forgot the Golden Knights. They're the co-favorites. A little bit of a Golden Knight tax here at the South Point as always. 6-1 on the Oilers and the Knights. 7-1 on Colorado. 8-1 on Carolina. Talk about another team that didn't fix their goaltending issues this offseason. And Florida at 8-1 before we get into double digits. I don't know how we can look at Edmonton and Carolina as those two teams and without them fixing their goaltending issues. How can we look at them as legitimate? Hey, they're going to beat Florida in a playoff series if they have to play them, or they're going to, or for Edmonton's sake, another lineup with Vegas. I know they beat the Knights last year, but that's a tough go, especially now that the Knights have Marner in play and are still every bit as good as they were in net a year ago.
Right. No, I agree. I think this is a better Knights team than we even saw down the stretch last year. So that does make it tough for Edmonton. Still have the best goalie in the league. I mean, the best skater in the league, though.
Well,
so
the best two skaters, right?
Yeah.
Draisaitl, probably. Close.
You mean duo?
Yeah. Oh, no, there's an argument Draisaitl is the second best player in the NHL too, right?
Yeah.
Definitely best duo.
Definitely, you can make the argument. There's someone there's a few guys in Colorado that would have.
And a McKinnon guy's pretty good.
McKinnon's pretty good, yeah. But where was I going with that? Talking about Edmonton. Who else were we talking about? The
Vegas.
Knights. There's another team. Carolina. Frederick Anderson is very good. It's him staying healthy, right? And that's the problem that they've had in Carolina. So, yeah, I'm with you that it's tough to bet on them. But best power play, best penalty kill team for the last couple of years, they have the pieces. I don't know. I would definitely go down the board a little bit and try and find some value on some other teams that could make their way deep into the playoffs.
Well, the interesting one is let's go down the board here real quick, Alex. I'm going to throw some teams at you. Of course, the best regular season goalie that ever was in Connor Hellebuck and the Winnipeg Jets are at 25-1 right now. The
No surprise, he is the favorite.
favorite to win the Vezina again. The Ottawa Senators, who a year ago you were on Ottawa a lot. They finally break the playoff list drought. They're 25-1. I don't really want to go further down the board. I don't think there's anyone who's south of 25-1 who's realistic at this point, unless if there's just such a monster improvement. Like, I don't buy St. Louis as a legitimate Stanley Cup contender. I don't buy the New Look Mammoth as a Stanley Cup contender. Like, I just think we're probably looking at chalk more likely than not with this Stanley Cup run this year. And
it's kind of been those same teams that have been above the rest, right? I'm a little intrigued by Nashville.
Okay.
At 80-1. We remember.
Horrible year last year.
Horrible year. They made a lot of moves and it just did not work out. So another year with all of them skating together, I think that's a pretty good price there on Nashville.
There you go. That's the long ball for Alex White. Preds open their season with Columbus on Thursday evening down there on Broadway in Nashville.
A lot of hockey games on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Well, Tuesday, Thursday, usually the big loaded day in the NHL. All right. We are going to take a quick break. When we get back, Ticker Trivia brought to you by City Lights Shine. Big week, of course, here in Las Vegas with the South Point 400 coming your way on Sunday. And we'll have the poll answer, and Alex will have a whiteboard here on a Tuesday when we get back to wrap things up on Sports by the Book here at South Point Studio.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
We're back in at Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. Looking forward to another fun Tuesday across the sports landscape. Alex finishing up her whiteboard, and while she does that, let's give you Ticker Trivia presented by City Lights Shine. Available here at the South Point. Of course, big week here in Las Vegas. We have, Ann, can I say it for what's coming later this week on Thursday up for Gone Racing? Is it okay? Yes. Brendan Gaughan, Jeff Motley, live from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, due north of the city here on Thursday. Be on the lookout for that. Going to be a lot of fun. So some special guests potentially as well. Oh, you were hiding it from me. You know what? You were actually doing a good thing. If I had this right now, I don't know what my stomach would do to me right now, regardless of how delicious this is. The caramel apple bottle of City Lights Shine in my hand right now.
It has not been open, though.
It has not been open. No, we've been disciplined down here, Alex White. Oh, Vince, this is a fun one here today on the trivia question. Very good. On this date in 1916, Alex White, we're going back in the time machine. The most lopsided victory in college football history happened. Georgia Tech defeated Little Cumberland College 222-0. 222-0. I love this because people on Twitter do a lot of fun stuff with us on the day. So I'm happy Vince picked this as a trivia question. Who was the coach
Oh my gosh.
that led the Yellow Jackets that day to the 222-0 win over small Cumberland College? Oh, it's a pretty famous name. It's a guy by the name of John Heisman was the coach of Georgia Tech. You like that line score there? They took the foot off the gas pedal in the fourth quarter. Alex, what's wrong with them? They only scored 42 points in the fourth quarter in that 222-0 rout over Cumberland College for the Jackets that day. And there's John Heisman on the right. So there you go. 922 rushing yards for the Yellow Jackets that day. And every first down that they got was a touchdown.
Every first down was?
Every first down was a touchdown.
Wow.
It's pretty good. Heisman, by the way, was 102-29 in his 16 seasons as a coach. And, of course, something named the Heisman Trophy is named after him now in college football. All right, the poll question. Which NHL team will exceed their point total this year? I know what your pick would have been on this. So Vince put the Mammoth at 91.5, the Preds at 84.5, the Bruins, who had a miserable year a year ago and expected to have another miserable year at 80.5, and the Canucks at 89.5. I know you would have voted for Nashville on that one. The Canucks at 46% are the top pick, with the Preds coming in at second at 24%.
I can't fault anyone for that one either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vancouver's been pretty good.
And wouldn't shock me if they get to 90. They got to get to 90. Borderline playoff team at 90 if they happen to get there. All right. You ready?
I'm ready. I'm sorry. I don't really have any today action. I do have one. I'm going to make a small bet on the Colorado Avalanche, but just to throw this out there, the Kings were one of the best home teams last year. So that is part of the reason why it is priced that way. I'm going to also take a little bit of that Yankees to win the series 4-1. And if the Blue Jays sweep them today, so be it. They are much better than we thought. And even a week or so ago, but before the wild card, we were looking at the prices.
Yeah.
You could still get double digits on the Blue Jays. So we've undervalued them a little bit, but I don't think the Yankees get swept.
Yeah, I'm now in the camp. Well, I said this before the playoffs, Alex. I really did think the winner of the Dodger-Philly series is going to win the World Series. I'll stand by that. But, boy, Milwaukee seemed, again, maybe this is just finally the bye for the one seed in the National League has been figured out. Milwaukee dominant through 2 games in that series against the Cubs. Again, that's why I mentioned this earlier in the show. I am fascinated to see what the Dodger-Brewer price ends up being. And we mentioned it. You and I agree. I think this series is getting back to Toronto. I do think the Blue Jays will find a way to win a Game 5 at home. I think that is a legitimate home field for this postseason. But, boy, if it gets to a Game 5 and you got to be free the second time, that's a lot to ask. Fried, by the way, the Yankees have lost both Fried starts so far this postseason as well. No hockey plays, by the way, for me. Shocking, I know.
The Brewers, though, I mean, I'm impressed with the pitching so far. I know it's only been 2 games, but even we saw Mizrowski yesterday. So, yeah, they could have a shot against the Dodgers.
Absolutely. Be a fun one, to say the very least. All right, we're back tomorrow. Bruce Marshall's with us on Wednesdays. As he always is, we'll get his picks. May even make a little detour to local Vegas media for some WNBA thoughts. Aces up 2-0 on the Phoenix Mercury, entering Game 3 down in the PHX. So we'll discuss that. Best of 7 now, too. Yep. We'll have to remind ourselves tomorrow on that. So Phoenix will at least get 2 home games down at home. So we'll see that. And, of course, the rest of the week as well. We'll have a lot to get to throughout the rest of the week here on Sports by the Book. Shout out to the crew today here in studio, and Drew Dog and Vince. Great work as always. Alex, good job. Big thanks to the Bear, Chris Felica, for joining us as well. I'm Jeff Parles. We'll see you again tomorrow. Same time, same place. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.